terrified. They really want all of us to be willing to submit to experimental gene. They really want us to just shut up and kowtow to whatever they got. And they've given everything they've got to do that. So, yeah, through the grace of God, again, all credit to him, we were able to put together a plan. We were able to implement a plan. We were able to pull, one of the most fundamental aspects of the plan was that the plan was always about glorifying God and about getting our freedom. It was never about, me dancing in the end zone and spiking the football. If it had been about that, it wouldn't have worked, right? One of my major goals early on was to get people who were much bigger and more equipped than me, because I always felt I was the wrong guy for the job. But to get those people who were the right people, the big shots, the heroes, the people who can save the world, I wanted to get them fighting. I wanted to wake them up. And two things happened on that journey. First of all, we were successful in bringing in a lot of big shots and a lot of big names. And now you see huge names talking about it all over the place. Even Donald Trump has recognized that there's issues with these poison vaccines and that he was lied to. So we were quite successful in that. But the other thing that I really, really found was a little bit disturbing. And that was that the big shots frequently aren't really any different than you and I. For whatever reason, God, chooses to put certain people in positions of power and authority. And it ain't always the best and brightest, I will tell you that. Now, we've got some great leaders in this country. I mean, obviously, there's a number of people who I support and like. But we also have a lot of blithering idiots. A lot of people who, have you ever heard the saying, never meet your heroes? Sometimes there's truth to that, but not always. Some people I've met have actually lived up to the hype. Others have not. But what's become abundantly clear to someone I still live in Fremont, Ohio. I still have 12,000 people in my town. I still take out the trash and get yelled at all the time for getting my honey-do list. Not much has changed on that front. The only thing that's changed is now everybody knows my name, and we're able to use that, by the way, to great benefit, to try and push for causes and to push for the things that we believe in. But the only thing that's changed is that I've recognized that, the people at the top really aren't any better or different than any of us. God made us all kind of the same way and all in his image. And some I think he may have used a little bit less material in than others because they seem to be missing a few brain cells. But we're all the same. We're all kind of in his image, and it just comes down to your willingness to fight and to obey and to do those sorts of things. So I've moved on, not from COVID. We're still battling to get justice on the COVID side. We're still battling on all sorts of fronts. We won't stop until we have justice, but we've moved. Part of our fight has now shifted to a very, very important thing, and that is something that I would urge each of you to ask yourself. I would bet that if I asked, for a show of hands, how many people listening to the show wanted Anthony Fauci, the primary goal coming out of COVID is to see Fauci in jail, that I'd have almost universal agreement. I would challenge you all to think about this. There's one truth that's universal about a crook, and that is a crook doesn't do anything for nothing. They're always trying to get something out of it. Fauci got something out of COVID. Who was giving it to him? And I would tell you that Fauci and a number of our bureaucrats in the government that did this, I would compare them to drug users. They're crooked. They're bad. You don't want them on the streets. But if we don't take out the drug dealers, they're going to find new drug users. So we've got part of my work now is shifted to corruption, period. to looking at who are the dealers who are buying the users. The users are being, I would define as the crooked sellouts in our federal government, the deep state. The dealers are the people paying the deep state off.
Yeah, for sure. Well, you've been a fan of mine for since COVID started. I saw you and I was like, oh my gosh, we need to get Tom on our show. So
Well, I'm honored
I'm
to be
glad
here.
you're here. So
Honored to be here. Thank you for having me.
yeah, absolutely. So you've been real vocal about what you describe as corruption within the judicial system, particularly with figures like Zuckerberg and cases involving high profile individuals.
Yeah.
What do you believe are the most blatant examples of corruption, and how do you propose we as society begin to address and rectify these issues? What could we do about it?
Well, the most blatant examples that I could point to, I mean, the Trump case under Merchant, I mean, I've never seen anything like that. It is absolutely mind blowing what's occurred there. But the Trump cases in general have been just an epitome of, to my mind, everything that the justice system should never be. I mean, it's horrific. You know, politicizing our Justice Department, I would say J6 cases. The J6 cases have been horrific. We have a weaponized Department of Justice. We have a weaponized court system in D.C. I mean, the judges overseeing these J6 cases are, to my mind, just doing a horrendous disservice to the judicial branch. I got to tell you that, so I actually today spoke to a J6 defendant, someone that needed some help, unfortunately, and I can't give any details, but I'm unable to represent this individual because this individual is not from Ohio, and I'm not licensed in DC, and there's really no nexus for me to even ask to represent this person. But wonderful person facing an absurd situation with this. And I can't go into the details, but it's something that tons of Americans are facing. I mean, we have illegal aliens in this country murdering people that we won't deport. Meanwhile, we have Americans who watch policemen wave them into the Capitol, follow that direction, and are now being sentenced to years in prison for trespassing, for charges like trespassing. It's mind-blowing. You have you have courts that have excluded critical evidence. There's so many different things that have happened that are abhorrent. There's no investigation about abuse or misconduct during J6 on the enforcement side. There's no investigation. I mean, this is one of the most horrific, awful, just god-awful things I've ever seen. It was a politicized justice system. Merrick Garland is the greatest embarrassment to American justice, the American justice system in history. Thank God this buffoon didn't make it to the Supreme Court. He shouldn't even. I personally am not even sure he should be licensed. He's horrific. But I think the Trump cases, the J6 cases, and then I think a number of the election cases were outrageously political. The 2020 election cases. Now, I will tell you that I don't think they were all political. I'm going to go out there and I will tell you that my view on it is some of these cases were just very poorly done. There were some very bad cases. That said, some of the cases should have gotten full discovery. There should have been more transparency. There was a lot of reason that some of these cases should have been given more credence, and they weren't. So those are kind of my top categories of cases I'm grumpy about.
Yeah, well, thank you.
As far as what do we do about it, boy, I'm going to tell you, honestly, share this show, start talking, communicate. We have got to get Trump back in this cycle. I mean, I'm going to tell you right now, 4 years of Kamala Harris, and we're right now, the way I just explain America is this: I'm not fighting to maintain my freedom. Okay, I'm not trying to save America. America's gone. This is not the country I grew up in. I'm looking around. I'm sure a lot of you guys remember the 80s, maybe even before that. Some of you maybe not until the 90s. But I would challenge anybody to tell me this is the same country that they grew up in. It isn't. It isn't. We're not fighting to save our country. We're fighting to get our country back. We've lost it. And I take responsibility for that. I'm 47 years old. Do you know what happened when they wanted to pass the Patriot Act? I said, well, maybe that's not a bad idea. I was dead wrong. Dead wrong. I bought the Kool-Aid for too many years. I thought I was listening to Rush Limbaugh, and that was enough. I thought I was paying attention. I wasn't. I wasn't doing enough homework. I was being fed a string of lies, and I didn't dig. I didn't dig. I thought if there was an R by their name, they were okay. Boy, was I wrong. It is incumbent.
On that note, Tom, I got to tell you, one of the basic things I'm telling everyone is we're not in the 1980s anymore. And you're right, the Patriot Act was the worst thing that happened to Americans. But let's flip the script for a moment. In your recent discussions, you've touched on the death of the dollar. And we're actually going to have a lot of financial people on next week. Please come back and let's talk about the death of the dollar. But could you elaborate on what specific policies or actions you believe could lead into such scenario, and what steps should be taken to safeguard our U.S. economy, from the potential collapse? Because we're seeing BRICS kind of rising, countries continuously wanting to join that. And, on this platform, we've always said the central banks are our enemy.
Well, again, I was working in banking, and so I've got background in that. And I'm going to tell you what's going on. There's a number of issues. So the first issue was the Ukraine war. Okay. You said, what's that got to do with the dollar? Well, there's several things. First of all, we're printing a lot of them to pay for it, but that's that aside. More importantly, when Russia invaded Ukraine, we restricted their access to SWIFT. SWIFT is a system that's used to move money around the world. If you restrict access to that, it really chokes a nation's ability to trade on dollars, right? Dollars, the world reserve currency, or was. When we said to Russia, you can't use SWIFT, Russia said, hey, America, go to hell. We're going to build our own. So they started building their own. The thing about that is the U.S. dollar is not backed by anything. It's a piece of paper. It's backed by faith in the U.S. economy. Well, the U.S. economy is out of control. We've printed trillions of dollars in debt. We've printed it. We just print dollars. Congress just spends money like a drunken sailor. So our economy is not being well managed, and the world sees this. Meanwhile, the world sees us weaponizing the dollar as a tool of trade, as we did with Russia. So our enemies, China, Iran, these guys, they're all looking around. They're like, well, I mean, if they could do it to Russia, they could do it to us, right? So they've kind of all band together to form an alternative, and their alternative is gold-backed. BRICS, which will be the new currency, is two things. It's going to be a cryptocurrency, so you're not going to have paper anymore, which means even though they're going to tell you it's not tracked, trust me, it's tracked. So you're going to have a new crypto-based currency that is gold-backed. And since it's gold-backed, that means that each country that has any gold is going to feel protected. They don't have to worry about America saying, yeah, you don't get to deal with our dollars. Hey, guess what? We got gold. America, pound sand. So what we've done is we weaponize something that should never have been weaponized. And then we have been so irresponsible with our spending that the world's lost faith in our economy. So those two things have contributed. The dollar is dead. We were in the petrodollar, which means we had an agreement with Saudi Arabia. I mean, everything was oil-backed, essentially. And that agreement's dead. Saudi tore it up. It's no longer there. So now you have a dollar that's really based on nothing. And there's an alternative that they're getting ready to release. The dollar, in my opinion, is going to collapse completely. The problem is when you think about trade, you've got to understand something. If I'm going to buy something from your country, then I need to give you something of value back. If my dollar is nothing but a piece of paper, well, that's not value, right? So if I want to buy your goods from China, for example, and you've got gold-backed bricks over in China and we're giving you a piece of paper that means nothing, why would you accept that? I can give you all the paper I want. Why would I sell you my goods for your paper? Because we have offshored all of our industrial base, because we are not allowed to mine, frack, drill, or anything else, and because the environmental regulations, the labor all the regulations have essentially made business impossible to do in this country, we don't manufacture anything here. We don't produce our own resources. Everything we have is brought into this country. If you recall, they were talking about the new service-based economy. Well, service-based doesn't do any good when you're trading with another nation. So between the dollar being killed with the BRICS and the irresponsible spending and the fact that we no longer produce anything that we can sell globally, what's going to happen is you're going to see the dollar completely collapse. We're going to have to rebuild from scratch, which means we're going to have to reopen mining. We're going to have to reopen manufacturing. We're going to be behind the 8 ball. And during that time, we better hope to God that no one decides to attack a weakened America, because we're going to be in a state where we're going to have a hell of a time dealing with that if someone wants to attack us. And right now, we're certainly giving a lot of countries a reason to do that, as we're picking a fight with Russia over Ukraine, picking fights in the Middle East, picking fights with China. I mean, we're picking fights with all sorts of countries while we're destroying the dollar that we use to buy the crap that we need from them. It's insane.
Yeah, doesn't make any sense. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Well, you've highlighted the issues of child trafficking. How do you see this issue fitting into the border narrative of corruption? And what legislative or societal changes do you advocate for to combat this problem effectively?
It's broader.
Well, I mean, so here's what we've got. We work with a number of the groups that are fighting trafficking. And, we've got a lot of good friends who have fought on the border. So we have a lot of sick people. The United States is the hub. We're the #1 trafficker of children in this planet. Yeah. We're importing them across the southern border. They're disappearing in massive numbers. We just saw 300,000 plus children disappeared. Now, let me tell you what happens to those children after they disappear. Some are sold into slavery, sweatshops, things like that. Some are sold into sex slavery. I'm not going to describe that. And some are actually sold to harvest their organs. I just had a conversation with someone who was part of a group that did a raid. And when they raided, it was a barge parked out in a harbor. When they raided that barge, and it was, one of these groups, all, vets, people go over there, they know what they're getting into, and they raid the place. When they raided it, they found just tons of bodies of children, dead kids, apparently for organ harvesting. That's a thing, right? That's a thing. No one wants to talk about this. Now, we don't know how widespread it is. We don't know what's going on. But understand, we are literally selling children into sex slavery and harvesting their organs in this country. Everybody knows it's happening, and no one's doing anything about it. Yeah. Now, here's the kicker. Those guys, and there's a number of groups doing this. They rescue these kids. What do you do with them? Well, you call CPS. It's the only thing you can do. What does CPS do with them? Well, CPS puts them with foster parents who are actually probably, child traffickers, because they don't have a real vetting process. Here's what happens. There are no numbers or statistics publicly available to my knowledge. But one of the very, very common themes that we hear about CPS is they take the kids, they put the kids with foster. Foster claims that the kids run away, and then the kids are never seen again. The story from the people who do this is that a lot of times the foster parents, I say with air quotes, are actually traffickers. They take these kids to a hotel where those kids are then picked up by someone else and taken to wherever they're taken. And they claim it's a runaway, so there's no paper trail, there's no real investigation, there's no way to know, and so it's really it's a real nasty scheme that's apparently happening. We don't know how widespread it is. And we do know that it's happening on some level. We don't know what, the extent of it, but it's a disaster. I'm going to tell you something. If we can't protect our children, if we won't stand to protect children, our society's lost. Yeah, I mean, it truly is. If we can't protect kids, on my show today, I actually purposely to try and make people sick because I hope they were. We were talking about Kamala Harris and her support for abortion right up to the 9th month, right? Right up to the 9th month. So what I did was I showed pictures of babies. I showed pictures of babies over and over again and said, I want you to understand that if you're aborting a late term abortion, this is what you're aborting. They don't look any different. It's a baby.
Right.
I mean, to me, it's a baby from conception. But, regardless, we're talking about people who are okay with killing. When we have devalued life in this country, what can we do about it as a society was the second part of your thing. Well, we need to start reevaluating our priorities here and ask ourselves, how in God's name have we gotten to the point where there's just no value in human life? None whatsoever. We don't protect babies. We don't, I mean, listen, the former governor of Virginia literally said, we'll kill them after birth. I mean, he not those specific words, but he said, we'll set them aside, make them comfortable, and then we'll figure out what to do with them. Tim Walz is supporting that. The guy who is appointed VP for Harris is supporting that in his state. Until we start, and I'm going to tell you guys, I'm going to say something that may upset a couple of you. Sorry, I kind of speak my mind on things. The fault lies at the foot of the churches. It was the church's job to fight for the right for people's life and liberty. We have too many pastors out there that are talking about living your best life, how you deserve, you have a right to be happy, you have a right to this. Listen, I've read that book a few times. And, I'm no pastor. We got a little ministry that we do, but I'm going to tell you something. I'm pretty sure that when I read it, I read something along the lines of following Jesus wasn't meant to be easy. Your reward is promised in the next life, not this one. If you look at the way Peter died, if you look at what happened to Paul, you look at what happened to the guys who really lived it, it wasn't easy. But our churches is sold out. And instead of saying, hey, this is right, and listen, we all sin. Christ said, forgive sinners, right? So we're supposed to, I sin daily. I'm a lawyer, for God's sakes. I'm lucky to have a soul. But the churches have to stand for right and wrong. Even if you're a sinner as a pastor or a priest, your job may be to repent and to ask Christ for forgiveness for your sins, but it is always to teach and to stand for the word of God. And the word of God was not, I get to live my best life and chase my happiness. That's nonsense. When the churches failed our country, when they started selling out, when we lost our moral guidepost, that really is a foundational issue. We've got to get our moral guideposts back, and we've got to do it in a way that reaches and touches people. Without, I mean, listen, we all sin, so we can't ostracize sinners, but we can't condone sin. That's what Christ taught. Christ sat with the sinners. He didn't ostracize them, but he didn't condone sin either. Our churches have lost that, and I think that that's really a major thing. We need to get our churches back if we want to fix this.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, thank you so much for that. Your legal battles have been going up and down, and I don't really know the details on your COVID victories or not, but emphasizing the need for both legal and political reform is something that you're kind of pushing. What are the top 3 legal reforms you believe are essential for restoring what you describe as the nation's former glory? And how can everyday citizens engage in this fight? Because I'm going to tell you, Tom, I am constantly dealing with so much unfairness on big tech, putting our marketing stuff into spam, and then the big tech social media platforms, right? If I say
Yeah.
Christ or if I say Trump or anything against their narrative, I'm put in the bottom 90 for Facebook, and my numbers have went down substantially. But this is about you, so tell me how can we fight? Because I fight every day, and I get pushed back all the time. I'm this close. In fact, I'm this close to filing against Facebook.
Well, I'm going to tell you that welcome to the club, brother, or maybe I'm welcome to the club. You might have been doing this before me. Yeah, I mean, listen, we get the amount of censorship that I deal with is profound. I mean, I got to tell you, we spend an immense amount of time dealing with censorship. I mean, listen, nobody likes us, right? Nobody likes us. Because I call out the Democrats and the Republicans equally. And if you think that the Republicans are good, there are good Republicans. But if you think the GOP is good, I got news for you. GOP is broken. Now, I will tell you, and I've said this, and again, I may irk people when I say this. I have more respect for Elizabeth Warren than I do Mitch McConnell. Elizabeth Warren may be a lunatic, but I support the fact that she actually speaks about what she stands for. Whereas Mitch McConnell stabs us in the back on a daily basis. I'll deal with my enemies head on. I don't like someone who's going to stab me in the back. And that's the problem with the GOP. We got a few great people there. We've got some people who are marvelous, but there are too many sellouts. So I deal with the same thing, right? Nobody really likes a truth teller. And if you're going to tell the truth, you're going to make people mad. So I agree with you. Yeah, if we want to get our country back, we've got to get back to the rule of law. And that starts with the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. There's a number. Yeah, I know. And I see someone commented that Warren's a liar. Yeah, I know that. I mean, but if you're a Democrat, we know you're a liar. If you're a Republican, you're not supposed to be so bad. Yeah, I mean, I think that's part of the party platform. I mean, if anybody watched the debate, by the way, I mean, you can attest to the fact that every single thing that she said was a lie. I think it's just part of the platform, but it's more disappointing for me from the Republicans because they're supposed to be our side, right?
Right.
We've got to get back to the Constitution. Do you know that the courts have essentially held that the Ninth Amendment has no meaning? The Ninth Amendment of the United States Constitution, okay, essentially, unless it's related to another identified right, has been held to have almost no meaning. How can you do that? How can you say that?
There's a lot of things unconstitutional these days, and it seems like nothing catches up to it, and there's no recourse.
Yeah.
Well, this is the thing, though, right? So at the end of the day, this comes down to we the people's complacency. How do we fix it? I tell you what, the number one thing, I urge you to continue fighting through the censorship and to make this show go. Keep fighting, brother, because the thing about this is the complacency of American people is the number one enemy. We all want our kids to have a better life than us, right? So, one of the things I battle with is I don't want to spoil my kids. I want them to earn their way. But I also don't want them to have to fight quite as hard as I do. I mean, especially for the last few years. I really don't want them to have to fight that hard. They can earn their way and not have to do that. Last few years has been a bit rough. But, we've got to get people engaged and involved. The one thing that our founding fathers recognized is that we had to have an engaged and involved body of people in this country. The price of freedom has always been eternal vigilance, and we haven't paid it. I mentioned my failure, right? For too many years, I sat aside and I watched our country collapsing. Where were we when the Patriot Act passed? Where were we when Obama passed Obamacare? We tried, but we didn't do enough. None of us did enough. If we'd done enough, it wouldn't be here anymore. We stood aside when Obama did all. And make no mistake, a lot of what we're dealing with today stem from the Obama White House.
Oh, yeah.
We are dealing with the continuation of the Obama White House right now, and the groundwork for everything that undermined Donald Trump for 4 years was from the Obama White House. Then Biden comes back in after stealing an election and continues it, right? So you got to understand, if we want to get the country back, it's up to us. It's up to us, and we've got to do it legally. We've got to do it ethically. We can't be violent, but we're going to have to stand. We have a few leaders in history that have taught us how to get things done. And what I would recommend for people to do is, and this is what I've done. So what I do is I study the left, right? So I've been in martial arts since I was preteen. I've been studying, fighting my whole life. And one of the best tactics is to watch your opponent, learn what they do, and then figure out how to handle it. Sometimes that means adopting their techniques. So I've looked a lot. I've studied what the left does. Never let a crisis go to waste. Belittle your enemies. You'll hear me on the show. Sometimes I'm downright brutal, making fun of that, the enemies. Why? Is it because I'm an inherently mean person? No, I really, I prefer not to be that way. But we have to look at what our enemies do, what works, and then we have to turn it around on them. Yeah, one of the things that we can look at and that we can see, and this isn't even enemies, if we look at the people who have had the greatest impact in history without resorting to violence, you can look at, starting with Jesus Christ, right? I mean, he changed the world and he did no violence. Violence was done to him, but he did not commit violence. What did they do? How did they lead? Where did they go? I would say take a page out of the civil rights movement. The civil rights movement was incredibly effective, right? The sit-ins, the stand-ins, the protests, we're just not going to do it. We started to see that activity occur during COVID. Okay. We started to see people actually get together and say, hell no, we're done. We saw people very active. I couldn't go 5 feet without finding another activist group. Now, the masks are off. The economy's crashing. I don't really like the 87,000 IRS agents. Yeah, the FISA court, but I don't really see that. So no, people aren't as active now. They're not as engaged. Well, I gave $10 to Trump today, so that's enough, right? I listened to Trump's speech. Well, that's what got us here, right? That's what got us here. What can we do? Get your butt off the couch and get active. Whether it's pushing a group, whether it's not just watching a show like this, but actively sharing it, sending it out to people and saying, hey, have you watched us? No, don't just throw this email away. I actually want to know, did you watch us? You really need to see this. Are you following this guy? By following, I don't mean just clicking follow. I mean, check someone out, see what they're saying, and then get it out there, push to disseminate it. These are very basic things that we can do, but it requires effort. Yeah. And let me tell you what I hear. I got back from work today. Man, I'm tired. Okay. I started work at about 7 a.m. this morning. It's just before 10 my time. And when I get done with this, I have about 3 more hours of meetings. So I have to put my kids to bed. I'll work from 11 till at least 2 a.m. And then I will start tomorrow again between 6 and 7. I don't want to hear you're tired at the end of your workday. Our country's on fire. You either fight or you lose it. We're going to win our freedom together or we're going to lose it together. We don't have a choice at this point. And, I'm sorry if you're tired. I'm sorry if you're weary. I'm sorry if you're worn out. I feel for you. I am too. I have my days where I just want to go to bed. We can't.
We got to keep fighting because our country is on fire. Thank you for that suggestion, Tom. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I guess going back to the debate, around crime statistics under Kamala Harris's administration, with claims of manipulation and misrepresentation, how do you propose we should accurately measure and report crime data to reflect reality, especially in light of policy changes like those affecting misdemeanor classifications?
Yeah, we unfortunately we can't, right? So the problem is that the Soros appointed DAs
Hmm.
and the leftist appointed, public safety people have refused to report accurately what's occurring. So, for example, take California, one of the most crime-ridden states on the planet. Yeah, I mean, California is an epic disaster. Yet most of their big cities aren't reporting. Right now, we know that they don't even call it a crime. They literally don't care. If you go into a store and you steal a bunch of stuff, they don't even count that. I mean,
Unbelievable.
they literally don't even consider. So these things aren't going to be reported. There's no way to accurately know what's happening.
Hmm.
So, I mean, I got to tell you guys, there's really nothing that we can do other than to demand that our public servants and demand that our elected officials do what they need to. But remember, uh, our check on that used to be getting them out of office. If
Right.
you live in
But
California, the elections are so corrupt that I don't know. I mean, I don't. Yeah, I don't know what you're going to do. If you live in California, my advice is to put up a big wall, get guns, and just pray or leave because I don't know what you can do. And it's unfortunate because I've got some great friends and it's a pretty state, but I mean, I just don't know. I don't know what you can do in some of those places.
yeah, we know. We actually, Mike Cargile, that's running in the congressional 35th district there, he won his primary, so he's going to the final. Like he's amazing. You should check him out if you don't know him yet. But he's
Don't.
really he's really good. He's a spot on with everything that needs to happen with California and our country. So I wish we could just copy and paste him and put him in every state.
Yeah, he's in
But
the Inland Empire.
yeah, so
So
Well, if by the way, if I can help him and if you guys know him, please put him in touch. I'm happy to do what I can. I literally, this is all I do is the freedom fight. That's all I
what
care
state
about.
are you in,
awesome.
Tom?
Ohio.
I'm in Ohio, but I help people all over the country.
How far are you from that town that's getting the Haitians eating the pets?
Oh my gosh.
They are, by the way,
So
they are,
disgusting.
and not that far. I mean, I got people down there. I can talk to people down there. It's everything that they're saying. It's a disaster. But what will tell you is that a lot of people don't know is it's not just Springfield, Ohio. This was done all over the country. And what they did was they've been importing illegals into more rural communities all over the country. Now, you got to ask yourself why, right? Why are they doing this? And why aren't you hearing about it? And what you'll see is in a lot of these communities, you'll see an apartment building going up. And no one in the community will know why it's going on. Well, what's that all about? And nobody really cares because it's just it's a nice looking building or whatever. Next thing you know, you got a couple thousand illegals put in there. And a lot of times people aren't even aware that this is happening in their communities. This is happening in communities all over. It's being done with federal money, and most of the time the governors, even Republican governors, are okay with it. They just take some federal money and look the other direction. They don't publicize it. And since the whole thing's been done under the radar, this has happened all over the country. It's a very concerning thing. We're very concerned about what's going to happen next with that.
Yeah, that is very scary.
So, those that are watching live stream now on Red America First, we open up to members that come into the town hall, national town hall. And we have a first question. Unfortunately, he's having data issues, so he texted it to me. It's Megeso from Hawaii, the state of Hawaii, island of Kauai. His question is, when law and order and the republic is restored, what are the steps needed to prosecute judges who ruled against the constitutional rights of the people during COVID by disenfranchising them as human beings created by God? That's his question.
So prosecuting a judge is next to impossible right now. What's got to happen is we've got to change the law. There needs to be, and you need it to be a high standard. I agree that you can't, because everybody that gets a bad case is going to want to go after a judge, right? And someone loses every case, right? Every case there's a winner, every case there's a loser, and it doesn't matter whether it's right or wrong. The loser's always grumpy. So you can't make it easy to sue a judge or a prosecutor. But at this point, what we have is we have a situation where judges and prosecutors, by the way, prosecutors, same thing. That's why the DOJ is getting away with doing what they're doing on some of these cases. It is as close to impossible as it can possibly be to hold either a judge or a prosecutor to account under the law. It is very, very difficult. So we're going to have to change the law on that. And we got to be careful, because what if and when we have the opportunity to change that law, we've got to be careful to recognize that, yes, judges and prosecutors do have to have certain protections or they won't be able to do their job, and you don't want that, right? You can't, no judge can do their job if they can get sued easily, because everybody's going to want to sue them. I mean, that's every case there's a loser. But we've got to open it up a little bit more. We can't have carte blanche immunity no matter how corrupt you are. Judge Merchant and what he did in that case is absolutely unforgivable. But there's really nothing anybody can do about it. So, you know, this is we've got to fix the law, but we've got to temper it.
Perfect. So our next question is going to come from Alaska. Kelly, Alaska, please go with your question. Thank you so much.
Hi, thanks for being here. This is pretty amazing. Oh shoot, can you hear me? Okay.
That's right.
So I actually, I'm here in Fairbanks, Alaska. I'm the founder of Interior Patriots. Started fighting after January 6th, but I found you online and I kept watching you, and you taught me a lot, and you helped me go about a lot with what I was trying to do, you know, here, and which was fight for our freedom. And I sent you many emails, and I know that you're busy, but I was wondering if I could just get a contact number from you or email.
I'm going to help you with that offline. That's not the place to do it on the show, Kelly. Please. I tell you guys not to do this on the platform. Don't make this personal. We'll help. We'll help her with that. Don't worry about that.
Well, let me share something, because this is really important. I don't know if you guys can see this, but what it says is I have, and I cleaned this out about 3 days ago, I have 597 text messages on my personal phone.
I'm sure you do.
I have on my secret email that nobody has 9,231 emails.
Oh my gosh.
And on my general email that's out there, I have 68,388.
Wow.
I have someone who does help me with that. It's literally impossible to keep up. It's not a matter of whether I want to. I actually, one of the things that really took me a long time to come to peace with is the fact that I actually, especially during COVID, because there were so many people that had loved ones dying, and so many people that needed help, and so many people, and I was doing everything I could. Like I said, I'm just some guy from Ohio.
Yeah.
You know, if your brother, sister, mother's dying, of course I feel horrible and want to help you. And if I can, I do. But the problem is that I'm one guy. I don't have like a giant firm with 1,000 lawyers.
Right.
It's literally me and a couple other people.
Right.
You know, and so we can't, I cannot keep up with requests for help for this or that. What we do is, you know, we'll occasionally let someone know if, like, hey, we can take a client like this, or we can take a client like that. We're looking to do this, we're looking to do that. But like I said, a 16-hour workday is an average day for me, and I do mean 16 hours. I don't mean 16 hours plus, you know, where half of it's lunch breaks.
Yeah.
I literally work that much, and I'm a dad. My wife has stage 4 cancer, so I've got that going on, and I'm doing everything. I'm giving everything I got. So I will apologize to the universe for the fact that I got no more to give, but I will tell you that unfortunately I am very, very hard to get a hold of. And it's not because I don't want to help everybody. It's not because the cases aren't important. It's not because you don't have a cause. It's because they're just, I'm one person. So that I appreciate that I was able to actually make that statement, because a lot of people, I think, get upset because I'm so hard to get a hold of. You know, it's not that I'm too big for my britches. It's not that I don't want to help. I just,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm going to get done with this, and I'm going to have, I have 30 minutes after I finish this where I can, try and grab food, get ready, put my kids to bed, say prayers with them, and then, hopefully give my wife a good night kiss, and then get back to it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just the way it works. So.
Well, the next question is going to be coming from Oklahoma. And members, please remember to ask questions. This is not the place to ask our guest speakers for personal information. Thank you so much. Leslie, go ahead.
Tom, thank you so much for being on. It's so good to see you again. My question to you is, what does the law state about separation of church and state? Is it really a thing, and why is it that there's a lot of churches out there that if I'm going to talk about my own, if you talk about politics or anything, it's considered taboo and not the place to discuss? Why is that?
Oh, I love this question. The separation of church and state was not the separation of church. Under the Constitution, the government wasn't allowed to mandate or to show favor towards any specific religion. It didn't mean that religion was banned. And that's what a lot of these atheist agnostic crews have tried to push, that you can't have anything that relates to her. Yeah. And it was a garbage argument. The separation of church and state simply meant that the state couldn't embrace a specific religion, right? That said, there has been a very, very big push. I mean, listen, I don't care how many times the left lies. We were a nation founded on Christian principles. Okay. This nation was founded on Christian principles, and I don't care whether anybody likes it or not. What happened is, if you want to destroy the most powerful nation in the world, the nation that's become that powerful because of its principles, what do? You separate it from its principles, right? So there's been a war against American principles and against the foundations of America that it's gone on for over 100 years. And it's been intentional, and there's been a great push. Part of that has been separating, demeaning, and removing religion as frequently as it can be removed, in my opinion. So with that, one of the tools that's been done, or that's been used, is a lot of churches will have a 501c3 status. 501c3 is a tax-exempt status, charitable status. And so the government will say for charities, well, charities cannot be political organizations, right? But a church and a charity are two different things, in my opinion. Now, I would love, and I may well be doing this at some point, to challenge the idea that a church cannot speak about politics without risking its tax-exempt status. It is absolutely, so I started a ministry. It's just a little thing with Ibn Ali. And Ibn is, he's an ordained pastor and a whole bunch of other things. He's actually Muhammad Ali's nephew. Deeply devoted Christian guy. But we aren't a C3 at all. We're not tax exempt. I'm not even trying to make it tax exempt, although I may at some point do that just so I can sue their butts. We talk about politics all the time.
Yes.
How can you tell me that it's not within the church's right as a religious institution to say Kamala Harris supports abortion up till birth and maybe afterwards? How can you vote for her and be a Christian? How is that not a Christian thing? It's absurd. So I disagree very much with that. Now, there's areas of the law that have not been properly tested on this. So what's really happening is your churches are frequently cowards. We have too many cowards running too many churches. Too many people who are too worried about the money going in their pocket after Sunday Mass, and not worried enough about teaching what they got to teach. And again, I'm not perfect. I'm a lawyer. But I hold the churches to a higher standard. If you're going to teach, you better teach the word the way it was meant to be taught, right? And that's not happening. So these guys need to man up and quit putting money before God, because that's what's it's coming down to. They're worried about being attacked or their tax exemption status being challenged because the government may try to pull their C3 status if they talk politics. I'm just going to tell you, for my part, I think that's garbage. And all that does to me is that tells me that if you're going to a church that's afraid to speak out, then I'm just going to tell you, you need to ask your pastor whether his allegiance is to the dollar or to Christ, because I don't see that as being any. I think that, I mean, I know that's a wildly unpopular opinion, and I'm probably going to make some pastors mad, but I got to be honest with you, I just don't care.
Yeah, I understand that.
We have 3 more questions for you, Tom. One is from Ohio coming. Go ahead, Rob. Thank you so much in advance.
Hi, Tom. Sorry to hear. I didn't know about your wife. I'm sorry to hear that. Would it be okay if I put her on our church prayer list?
I'd be honored. I'll tell you, we always need money, so I grift a lot. I can tell people they get called a grifter, which is funny. I spent 3 years. I was the most in-demand lawyer in the country and sent out 0 legal bills. But before I ask for money, I always ask for prayers, because if the prayers are answered, I'll have the money.
And I have one other question. Have you ever considered running for the governor's state of Ohio?
I have had a few people ask me about getting into politics, and I'm kind of kicking it around a little bit. I don't know. We're kind of working it through. I mean, if God wants me to do it, and if it ends up being the right thing to do, I got no fear to do anything I got to do. But I haven't really formally kind of evaluated it yet.
Perfect. Thank you for that.
You would be a good governor.
So now the next question's coming from Oklahoma. Wendy, and we're still. She's going to be our election integrity pillar leader for Red America First. Thank you so much, Wendy. Go ahead, and one more question is peeking in. Go ahead, Wendy.
Okay, Tom, thank you so much for being here this evening. I was going to ask you, following up on Leslie's question, what you thought the churches actually could do regarding the separation of church and state. For me, anybody looking at the history knows that it doesn't mean what the leftists try to say that it does mean, and what they've been trying to do over the past several decades. But what you thought legally, what position the churches could take if their 401 or 501c3 status were threatened, but then I think you mentioned that the pastors should just ignore that anyway, which I agree with you totally. They need to start speaking out from the pulpit without worrying about the tax status of the church, to my mind. But regarding elections across the country, you mentioned California being a problem. Well, we have problems in Oklahoma,
Yes, you do.
multiple problems in Oklahoma, but it seems to be nationwide. Have you thought about maybe lawfully what the citizens' remedy is going to be if it is proven in a court of law that their elections are being stolen? Is there any recommendation that you have legally for citizens, or any pathway that maybe they can take?
Yeah, so it's a tricky thing. The appropriate thing to do is something that's, there's only a couple groups that are doing this right now, right? So what you have to do is you have to find a good way to challenge the fraud that's going to occur in elections. And then you need it to be ready and in court and moving. That way, if it's not dealt with before the election, you have standing to deal with it after the election. But the timing is rough. The courts don't like election court cases. They're very difficult. They're very, very disfavored, because the truth, the dirty secret, is there's been election fraud since we've had elections. Okay. The dirty secret is that both sides benefit. If they didn't, ask yourself why Republican Oklahoma isn't passing real election reform. The reason that they're not doing it, let's take Oklahoma and Missouri too. I know both states very well. I've got great friends who work in both of them. Those are two of the reddest states in the union. Why can't they pass election reform? Why can't they truly clean up and get rid of the machines? Why is that? The answer is that the Republican Party steals as many elections as the Democrats. The key is the primaries, right? You've got to understand the fraud that occurs starts in the primaries and is used to make sure that certain incumbents have a nice cushy way to stay in their job. If we disrupt the election fraud machine, well, then the real people might actually have a say. Who knows what's going to happen? The people who are in office are all benefiting from this. They're not going to change it. They don't want to change it because if they change it, they lose the benefit. So, I mean, ultimately, so you guys have a new GOP National Committee woman, Charity Lynch. She's a friend of mine. She's someone who we supported strongly and really tried to push to get in there. That's step one. Now you guys need to get really, really active in your GOP and need to start cleaning house. I mean, there's all sorts of rumors about legal issues occurring within the GOP in Oklahoma. Real legal issues, serious accusations. You all need to get involved and you need to clean house. You need to boot everyone out of that Oklahoma GOP that's there. You need to remake it. I know you're trying. Like I said, Charity's a friend. I know people down there. I mean, Clay Clark is down there. I have a ton of good friends. Jackson Lawmeyer, I know. For any of you guys that know E&J Financial, Kinsey Ely. I mean, I have a ton of good friends in Oklahoma. I know you're trying. You're going to have to keep at it. And part of it is getting your butt involved with the local GOP. Take over and take back the local GOPs so that you can retake the state and then boot these people out. It's corrupt from top to bottom. You got to get rid of the corruption within the GOP if you really want to get anywhere.
Tom, how much time we got with you? Because there's three more hands and that's it.
I got 6 minutes max.
Oh, wow. So only two quick questions then. Mike, 30 seconds or less.
Hey, Tom, how are you? Nice to meet you.
Honored to meet you, sir.
Okay, black politicians preach in black churches all the time. The reason is simple. I was a criminal investigator for the IRS. The IRS will rarely, if ever, go after a church.
Yep.
Okay, they don't want to get involved in the politics of it. The Democrats know that. So they have no problem going to all these churches and preaching and giving and talking about politics. Neither will Republicans. The difference is the Republicans are afraid to do it. It's called the Johnson Amendment because Johnson was getting killed by Robert Kennedy, and he had to shut people up. They can't enforce it. Here's what the IRS will do, just so you know. If you become a minister or you become a nonprofit, and then you take your entire salary and give it to the nonprofit, you're going to get arrested. That they will do. Because we worked those cases. We had a bunch of cops that decided that was a great idea not to pay any taxes. They all went to jail.
Yeah, no question about it.
Okay, so I just wanted you to be aware of that so you could tell people they don't need to be afraid when they talk. Because I ran into that when I ran for Congress. They wouldn't back me. They were afraid, I'm going to lose my status. I said, I represent people before the IRS. They will not come after you. They don't want that battle. They have nothing to stand on.
Well, I think that it would be very unlikely that they would aggressively pursue something like that on a clear-cut issue, because at the end of the day, you have the right to teach your faith. They can't take that from us. And, I mean, it's an interesting thing. It's hard to say what would happen, but I know that I've been chomping at the bit to look at, I've been considering a case like that. I think really the pastors and some of the church leaders need to band together and do it in a unified way and say, if you want to come after one of us, you're coming after all of us. So bring it.
The IRS won't do it.
I don't think they would. I would be surprised if they did, but I don't know. Thanks for the input.
So, Tom, thank you so much for coming tonight on Red America First. My question would be to you, before the election in November, would you come back to Red America First and have another interview with us?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Listen, if I can get back, I mean, and you know where to get me. If I can fit it in, I'm happy to do it. Like I said, um, this is a great audience and great people. I love that we actually got to do Q&A. That makes me real happy. I like when I get to actually talk to people. I used to be like a normal guy where I had time to talk to people, and like now I just run all over the place, and people want me to talk at them. I don't get to talk to them, so I'd be honored to do that. Just please reach out to us.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Every Thursday we do this, and gosh, we definitely would love the numbers to grow, but you know the story on the social media side. But yeah, thank you so much, Tom. And
Well,
go
make
ahead.
sure make sure that once this is up, you send a link to Andrea, my producer, the person that booked it. Make sure you send it to her, let her know, and we'll make sure that share the show and get it out there.
Wonderful.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you so
We
much.
really appreciate you coming on Red America First.
And
Thank you.
I'll email you my my litigation stuff so you could do a Q&A on it or peer review it before I actually try to sue Facebook, you know.
Brother, I wish you luck on that one because they need sued.
Yes.
Yeah.
They definitely do. Thank you so much, Tom. We'll have you back on Red America First.
We'll be praying for you and your wife. And
yes,
your family.
prayers for your wife as well. So
thank you and everybody. God bless y'all.
God bless you.
Thank you so much. That was Tom Renz, the host of Tom Renz Show, TomRenz.com. We now, all those that are watching live broadcast, we now transition to state intel, where we, the people, will share what's going on state to state without censorship, without telling us, hey, you can't say that. And, you know, mainstream media is lying to everybody. Look at the debate we saw, right? I have so many videos to show everybody how many times Kamala Harris lied. And in fact, the fact checkers are coming out. ABC really, really should retract a lot of their stuff that they did on that debate night. So that being said, those on the live, we're going to go state to state intel. We're going to start real quick with Mike, Florida. Mike, what's going on in Florida? And what did you think of Tom Renz? Go ahead. Thank you so much.
Well, you know, Tom was spot on a lot of stuff, especially with the churches. It's very sad to see the Christian church cower. When I ran for Congress, I saw it personally. They were more worried about losing their tax exempt status than they were about putting godly people in office. And if we don't have a revival in this country and come back to God and start standing up for what's right, we're done. I mean, that's the reality here. And that's the very sad part of it. And that's why I had to reiterate to him, the Democrats preach at churches all the freaking time. Okay? Al Sharpton, every church, he's talking about politics.
Yeah.
You know why? Because they know the IRS will not do anything. Because they know it's their policy, it's their internal policy. They know what the Republicans don't. And the Republicans cower in fear like wussies. And it's despicable to me to watch it happen. I mean,
I know,
and
it is.
yeah, look, the other night, that debate, she had the questions going in. She was good friends with the producer, the boss of the people that,
yeah.
Okay?
It was all rigged.
And she lies about everything. She can't tell you the truth. She's trying to make prostitution legal. Did you hear that today?
Well,
Yeah,
it's like
100%.
that. It's ridiculous.
I mean, I don't even know what to say.
Well,
It's the choice is between good and evil. It's that simple. And most people are going, boy, the evil looks good. Give me a little bit of that.
wow. Well, thanks for that, Mike. Hang tight. We're going to get more reaction here. I don't see Randy. So, Leslie, let's go ahead and get an update in Oklahoma. What's going on there while we're waiting for Randy Perham? And tell me, what did you think of Tom tonight?
I love Tom. I've seen him a couple of times. He's come to our state for a couple of things, and then he was in Branson for another event that was a Catholic event. He's awesome. He really knows his stuff, and I am so glad because I had been wondering about that specific question for a while, and he answered it just perfectly. Gave me a lot of clarity about the whole thing. So, what's going on in my state? We actually, I posted it in the chat. Apparently, we have an open seat. A Democrat is stepping down in Oklahoma County, Commissioner District Number 1. So there will be a special election, and we need to find a candidate that will step up to the plate in the GOP to run for this seat. It's a very important seat, but it's also, what I understand, in a difficult area too. It's the eastern part of our, our county. So, but I know God will bring someone to the forefront. What we have going on is we had a rally actually this week in response to the despicable thing that happened with the high school here in our city of Edmond, where a student was told by the principal that he could not fly his American flag from his vehicle, his own vehicle. This has made national news, international news. It's gone like viral. And several of us, Connie's on here too, Connie Thayer, she organized the rally, and we all got together at what we call Trump Corner. They wouldn't allow us, the administration, to have our rally right there on a public easement, near their office building. It was an unwritten rule sent out in the form of a letter. And it got even crazier than that. Some of us went to the meeting. Connie was one, and she saw it. There was a post basically at the door that no American flags were allowed. However, they had the showing of the colors with the how they normally do for the start of the meeting. So this whole thing is ridiculous, and I don't understand how their parents are just being complacent and just going along with this thing. Wendy's talked about it. She's actually substituted, in these classes. They're allowed to present the pride flag in the classroom, and it's considered wrong for us to have our flag, our American flag. Yeah.
Something's wrong with that, and Mike said this is about good versus evil. We've been saying it on this platform since actually we hit 3 years just now. So we're on our third year anniversary, and we've been saying this is a good versus evil for a long time. So this is all about Oklahoma, real quick. So Connie, you want to weigh in, and then Wendy right after Connie, go ahead. And then I don't know who D iPhone is, but that's an Oklahoma person. I would like to.
She's my friend from church. I invited her.
Can you give me a name?
She goes by D.
Oh, okay. Go ahead, Connie, Wendy, and D. Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, we had the rally, and when we went, the school superintendent gave the reasoning that in 2017, there were a lot of kids they were so patriotic, they brought so many flags to a football game, and then they threw them and left them in the bleachers and all over the place. That was one of the excuses that was given. The second one, yeah. And the next one, oh my gosh, it just slipped my mind. I'm so worked up over this. This just gets my blood boiling. I'm sorry. I can't remember what the second one was, but basically she gave excuses that the children. Oh, this is what it was. There were actually physical altercations, a few physical altercations over the improper displaying of the flag. So instead of making these adult children, high schoolers, behave. They remove the rights of anybody to fly any flag. That was her excuse. That's what she gave us, the public, as her reasoning for the rule. Well, it's not even a rule, and it's actually not even an actual policy. It's just like when we went to the school board meeting for the first time, there was a piece of paper taped up on the door that said, no American flags will be allowed to be brought into the meeting or displayed on the property. That's what it was. It was a little flyer that was put out after the physical altercation took place.
So Connie, we are working hard to speak with the parents and the boys that were impacted by this First Amendment. Because we have the ability to, express how we feel. And Wendy, what's your reaction? Go ahead. Thank you.
Yeah, actually, Connie and I were together in the school board meeting with somebody else from the veterans group that also spoke at the rally. And Connie is absolutely right. There were excuses given for the reason why the kids can't bring their flags to school, but they are years and years old, basically. So the district took a couple of incidences, and a lot of school districts do this, and people have really got to call them out on it, though. Like Connie said, instead of making the children behave, they try to head off problems to begin with, and then they go too far and they end up stomping all over the students' rights in the process. And for this one, it was very interesting to walk in. Like Connie said, there is a picture. The Oklahoman actually took a picture of the sign Connie is referring to, and it's on their gallery article for the event, where they said no flags will be allowed to be displayed. But then they brought in the North ROTC kids who worked very, very hard with the ROTC, with their color guard, to actually present the flag. But to me, it seemed like it was all staged. I have not seen that before. I've been to the school board meetings. They do not have the kids do this at every school board meeting. So for me, it's just a display of the school board trying to, use try to explain to the community what they do. But also, why don't they have the kids do this every meeting? Why don't they, have these things? It just seems that contrived. It does seem contrived to me. And they were talking about the VFW and partnering with them on, the proper display of the flag. I wrote a Substack article on this issue, and I read it at the rally. I'm the deputy director also of Restore Liberty. So I was there. We've cross-posted that Substack article. And my issue with the district is that setting itself up as the state, as an entity of the state, being the only ones that can be the arbiter of First Amendment and flying the flag on school property, when the students and the teachers both, quite frankly, do have First Amendment rights. So you have the school setting itself up as the sole arbiter of displaying the American flag on the property. And that seems to me to be a serious problem, and should not be the case. But they're doing that while they're violating the students' First Amendment rights. There is a court case on that. And the court case was finally settled, I believe, the last case in 2019. So it's been out there for 5 years. And the school district should probably look it up. I believe it's called Monroe versus Swanson. And this is a case of a student whose First Amendment rights were violated, according to the Fifth Circuit Court, in a school when he was simply trying to hand out. This is the candy cane case in Plano, Texas, where he was trying to hand out candy canes during a Christmas party, and the principal stopped him from doing so. Well, the Fifth Circuit Court agreed with the student's parents, that just outright his rights have been violated. So there have been multiple decisions in that case, and I would advise people to go in and read it. You can Google the case and read the decisions for yourself. The court has said the kids have First Amendment rights. It doesn't stop at the door. It doesn't stop at the parking lot. They have the right to free speech. The problem is they continue to give broad leeway to administrators who are violating students' rights under the excuse, once again, that there are too many decisions out there, too many conflicting decisions, and the administrators aren't lawyers and they don't know what to do. So in the interest of understanding that they're trying to do the best thing they can for the students, they have made the administrators almost unprosecutable. They did not allow this principal in Plano to be sued by the parents for violating not the father's rights as well as the students' rights, because the father tried to do the same thing, hand out the candy canes at the party. She stopped him from doing it, so he was suing her. So it's they didn't allow that. So they're saying that it makes it difficult when you have administrators that have immunity. Basically, they can just continue to violate the rights, but they're not in the right, but they're not held accountable for it. And I think that's a serious problem that needs to be addressed as well.
Perfect.
So hopefully our superintendent of education is doing that.
Perfect. Well, thank you for that update, Wendy, and looking forward to you running the election integrity. So give me the thumbs up on that one.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that, Ashley.
Yeah, no problem. We're gonna
Talk about that.
We're gonna chat with you very, very soon on that one, and give you access to Dr. Naomi Wolf's platform, so you could start playing with that, wearing the RAF hat. Thank you for that. Randy Perham, one of the pillar leaders, Red America First, on political and training. I wanted to ask him what's going on in Texas, my friend, and any updates you have for us tonight. Thank you, Randy, for coming on.
Hey, going good evening to everyone. It's been a busy few weeks here. But on the political front, Attorney General Ken Paxton has been suing the crap out of counties around here. So, in regards to voter registration. And what that means is that the voter registration by Harris County, which is Houston, let's see, Dallas County was the Dallas area, Travis County here in Austin. So a few of the counties and this connecting counties are being sued because we got non-governmental organizations or NGOs that are registering illegal citizens to vote for the upcoming election. So there's some minutia going on there to put a stop to that. There's been conflicting stories that there are no illegal immigrants registered to vote. Then there's some that said that there are. And so one county, I believe it was Travis County, where I'm at, I believe they said they found 6,000 illegal residents, illegal immigrants that was registered to vote. So that's what's going on that front. Outside of that, we're just wrapping up for the campaign. Tom was great tonight. I was listening in the background as I was cooking dinner. I'm still cooking dinner right now, so I'm gonna have to hop off here in a minute. But other than that, there's a lot going on with the local races here in Texas. I'm currently working on a campaign on Congressional District 35. That's Stephen Wright's campaign. So we're going against Greg Casar, who is a far left progressive liberal who's been, on the defund police kick and, supporting the homeless crisis and everything else that's going on down here in Austin. So I'm working on that campaign. I just stepped into that a few weeks ago to help out with that.
Can we get your candidate on later? Let's coordinate that.
Yeah, I can work on that. Yeah, that's too easy.
I want to tell you something that hit the wire this morning about Houston's biggest school district, or whatever, Houston area. They're pushing the COVID vaccine on students again, and it's a letter that went to parents and it said because of the reclaimed water, the water in the sewage had COVID contaminants, and because of that, students should go get their vaccine. So I'm going to send it to you, but you should spread that, you and your candidate, and just for awareness. Hey, they're still pushing this this false narrative, but keep going on what's going on.
Yeah, please send me that because I'm also in the SREC here, so I will get that out to my cohorts on the SREC, and we'll get that, work on fighting on that because that's crazy. But the outside of that, the other things, I was listening to some of the testimonials tonight here, and I just want to encourage you all to stop playing by their rules. Okay, we like to, as conservatives, we love to play by our own rules and allow the other side to play by their rules, and they always win. So we need to stop playing by our rules and play by their rules. It's always better to ask for forgiveness than permission. I'm a huge proponent of that. And once you start playing their game and you turn things back on them, they fold pretty quick because they have nothing. They can't run on anything. They can't combat or say, oh, it's policy, this and the other. Use the policies against them. Use their own policies. Use their own tactics against them. And in terms of having flags on school campuses, I would have the whole entire city show up with flags. The police ain't gonna do anything. They're just not. So yeah. And in terms of the churches, I've been talking to pastors. I'm working with some pastors out of Illinois right now as well. There's a lot of stuff going on in terms of the pastors being they're waking up. They're waking up, and not only, yes, Mike, you're correct. We need a revival, but they're waking up and they're realizing, because it's getting put in their face. Like, is making money more important than leading your congregation, being a steward, and so you put that in their face and you let them know, like, and you show them the evidence of these politicians, these Democrats, coming to churches and preaching, and we're not preaching, but pitching political stuff, and you say, hey. What are you afraid of? And this is how we turn the tides, ladies and
Randy,
gentlemen. So
I agree with you about we need to start playing by all those shady rules. But real quick, take a look at the screen that I'm sharing, Randy, because this is exactly that that letter I was telling you about. It's the biggest independent school district. And it came out September 6th. It says, Dear Parent Guardian, COVID-19 has been detected in Coop Elementary School's wastewater, used water.
Of course it was.
Keep yourself and others safe. Get vaccinated, get tested. They're pushing that narrative again. So I'm going to send this to you.
Please, send it to me. Send it to me so I can send to the SRCs down in that area.
Perfect.
No, so they can
easy. That's too easy. That's too easy. But anything else going on in Texas before we move on to another state?
No, it's just busy. We're just trying to get out the vote. We got the Trump, President Trump. We got Senator Ted Cruz, and we got the congressional races, and the down ballot races. Ladies and gentlemen, do not forget about your down ballot races. Your judges. Your constables, your precinct chairs, down all the way down the ballot, and pay attention to your prop measures, your ballot measures, your propositions. Pay attention to all that stuff because this election, you check the wrong box, you're dooming yourself. So that's all I got. I appreciate it. I will catch you all hopefully next week. I got a crazy week ahead of me, but I will catch you all when I catch you.
Hey, wait! Something about a senator?
Well, ask him if he can get. I forget his name. You just said it, and it's just I'm drawing a blank.
Ted Cruz.
Yeah, would you be able to get him on?
I'm trying to get in touch with him. I'm in direct contact with his campaign manager. I'm a deputy field director out here in Travis County. And that dude is evasive. So
yeah, it seems like they all
it's
are because every single one of them never responded to us. So I wonder what's going on with that.
yeah.
Kind of
Yeah,
makes me
I
wonder.
put in a couple of requests and I haven't gotten anything yet. So I'm still working it. Maybe he'll pop up after the election is over with,
Oh
win or
gosh.
lose, you
Yeah,
know.
I
But
guess.
I'm trying. Ken
Yeah.
Paxton, I can check and see if I can get Ken Paxton on.
Oh,
I think
please.
I think that'll be a great treat.
Yeah,
I can reach out.
he's a good constitutional guy that I want on for sure.
Yeah, I can work on that next. I actually might be seeing him this weekend, so
Okay.
I definitely try to get that going.
Thank you so
Cool.
much. What's for dinner?
Spaghetti.
Oh wow.
Nice.
Well,
Yum.
go finish it. Thank you, Randy. We're
Thank you,
transitioning
Randy.
now
Good
to
to see you.
Nevada. So let's get some reactions from Nevada real quick. We have Holly, Joey, Ron, Sandra. Sandra, what did you think about Tom? We love Tom, but what did you think about Tom? And then tell us what's going on in your state, and we'll ping Ron and Holly
Okay.
and Joey. Go ahead.
Okay. With as far as Tom Renz, he's one of the people that actually got me out into the rabbit hole. You know, he was
Yeah.
the beginning of my journey.
Right.
So I
Me too.
love
Me
him.
too.
I was like all giddy when he was on. I was
I
just
know,
like, oh my
right?
God, I don't even know what to say to him because he really has taught me a lot through this whole process.
Yeah.
And I thought it was brilliant that you got him on. It was absolutely exciting as hell.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. We
and
work
then-
hard. We work hard on Red America First, Sandra. We really do.
Obviously, yes. Also, I had just sent you a text. It just really kind of pisses me off. This is the only thing I have to say about Nevada, and it's not really about Nevada. It's about the UAW union. It's the United Auto Workers union, which is the union that the dealers when I was at the Wynn got for the town of Las Vegas. Only a few casinos have it. Did you see that literature
thing
that
that our
they're handing
founding
out to
fathers-
their members? That is just total bullshit.
Mm.
I sent it to you. Do you
Okay.
see it? Is that
Well,
legal?
I don't really monitor my text when I'm in the live broadcast, but let me take a look. Hang on.
It's propaganda on Trump and Project 25, and they're handing it to all
Oh,
the union
wow.
Okay,
members.
okay.
And
Let me put it on display real quick.
do.
I'm trying to. Hang on. I gotta download it first, and then I gotta upload it to my wife. It's a process when I'm on live, but you
It
know.
just kind of burns me up that they actually are allowed to even populate that around the casino because you're not even allowed to really talk politics. And now here's the union handing out propaganda on Trump shit, on bad stuff on Trump. It's just totally wrong. Totally wrong. Should be illegal. I should have asked Tom Renz, but I wasn't thinking about it at the time.
Well, there's a lot of illegal things that goes on in this
gosh,
country,
everywhere.
and it's like nothing ever happens. You know, it's crazy sometimes. But I'm gonna go ahead and display that Project 2025 real quick, and then Ron, while I do that, what's going on in Nevada on your side?
You hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So what's happening here is that Trump and the RNC is suing the Secretary of State Aguilar, charging that illegals are being registered and that Nevada is lax on following up on who's being registered to vote through the DMV and other NGOs. And so Trump and RNC is suing the Secretary of State for that. Then Sam Brown also came out with a statement, and he was talking about the need of, to vote red, and that the Democratic Party is not the party that the people want, and this and that, and that's what's going on in Nevada.
Wow. Can you get that Senate candidate on, Brown? Can you try to help us get him on? I like his story.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if I can. I would have to try, and I don't know how to do that, but I could try and see what happens.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Joey, Holly. Any of you guys got anything to say? I'm trying to unmute you. If not, we're gonna hop back to Florida real quick. Then we're gonna go to Hawaii, and then we're gonna go to, because we got a couple Hawaii people on. Go ahead, Joey. What's going on in your state? And thank you so much for joining Red America First. We're glad Sandra recruited you. So what kind of updates you want to tell us tonight? Thank you.
Well, I don't have an update. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we hear you.
Cool. That fellow mentioned Sam Brown. I voted for Sam Brown in the primary because it was the right thing to do. But I haven't heard a word from him since I did that. And whenever the last election that he ran for, I never heard anything from him then either. You guys have any idea what the hell's going on with this guy?
Well,
I think
I do like the story too.
I gotta be honest. On our side, you know, Valerie and I work hours and hours and hours trying to get talent on the show, and one of our goals is to get Senate candidates on.
Yeah, we reached out to, I can't tell you how many times,
called,
to their campaign managers, and it's like they've just disappeared.
I actually,
it's so weird.
We were really close to getting. I'm gonna mess his name up, but he's running for Senate in Virginia, and he's anyway. I reached him on LinkedIn, and he's like, I'll get you in touch with the campaign, and then I got in touch with the campaign. Campaign's like, what dates? We said, look, any Thursday. You tell me any Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern. Crickets. So, you know, Joey, don't feel bad. They are kind of swamped in trying to raise money and trying to get the vote out, and it's tough to run.
But I haven't seen that money working.
Huh?
I haven't seen that money working. All I hear about what is the Democrat side of it and what an evil person he is. Where's the money going? I mean, I voted for him last time because Trump said to. I voted for him this time because Trump said to. What Trump says, I do because I got to support the president. And what's going on?
I don't know. It's weird.
Pissing me off.
It's really strange.
We'll just have to keep pushing. And Joey, please reach out to me. We'll give you some numbers to try to get in touch with him, because we really want to hear his story and try to help him. We need to win Nevada. You know, we need to have the majority. Well, otherwise our country's just going to be turned over to China. You know, so
scary.
That's right.
Well, thank you, Joey, for expressing that. Now we're going to hop back to Florida. Thank you, Joey. Thank you, everyone in Nevada. I tried Holly. She didn't unmute, and that's okay. She might be busy where she's at and stuff like that. So let's get Rosemarie up here. I don't see Tim anymore. Steph, California. We'll hop to California and Hawaii up here in a little bit. Rosemarie, what did you think about tonight, doll?
Oh, he was excellent, absolutely. And I was trying to ask him where to find the sources about the animals and so forth, because, I would like to put it in our newsletter, and I like to have the sources of all of this information that I put in. And but I have a lot of other things to tell you. Number one, I spoke with Mike Herodopoulos. He was endorsed by Trump here. I spoke with him last night, and I happened to have our newsletter along, which he loved. And of course, he would like to be a guest on our program as well. So
awesome.
I will give you his information. And he was very, very nice. We spoke a while. And the people who are having problems with the flags, I have one idea. You know, there are T-shirts with flags. What if all these kids went to school with T-shirts that had flags on them? Wouldn't that be nice if they all showed up with flags?
That would be
Wouldn't it?
awesome. Yes.
Okay, that's an idea. I don't know who to share it with, but whoever, you would like to. Second, also today, when I was watching one of the news programs, they flicked Kamala Harris on her. She was having a rally, and she was saying about Trump being involved with 2025 again. I think he should actually sue her because this is false information. It's erroneous, and he is not part of 2025. So that maybe we should start spreading lies about her. She wants to make, prostitution legal and so forth. Let's start doing that, because if she's going to spread lies, we need to do the same. Because he said, as Tom said, we have to go where they're going, and maybe that's what we have to do. Now, in addition, last night at the REC, naturally, there was fireworks, but between the fireworks, I found out that there were people here that were using empty, what can I say, empty lots as their addresses. They were using gas stations as their addresses. These were all non-voters, but they caught some of them. But from what I understood, from one of the women who works closely with the SOEs, the supervisors of elections, she said that anyone who says they are, if they prove citizenship, which they don't anyway, but if they say they are a resident, and even if they don't have an address, they could have a park bench, they could be legal voters. That has to be addressed, because people who do not have a legitimate address, if they are homeless, then they have to have some kind of an ID that says they're homeless. But this is something that we're dealing with, because even in Florida, we are getting illegals voting. So that's something that's very, very important. And they wanted to work with the other RECs to push, but that has to be done on the state level, because the state laws overpower the local jurisdictions. So that has to be done. But, these are some of the things that have been happening here and around. Okay. And what I would have liked to also ask Tom, and maybe you could do this too. We will also put his wife on our prayer line. If you could get her first name.
Yeah, Rosemarie, do you know how right now on your phone there's a react button, and then you click it and then you could raise your hand? Do you know how to do that? Because we need.
Oh, no, I think.
Oh, she accidentally muted herself. Teresa, do you have any updates in Florida before we move out of the state? Martha, get ready. Janice, get ready. Latran, get ready. Tom, if you're awake, get ready.
No, other than you just see a lot of crazy, evil things going on. If you watch news break, it's just really horrible how evil is just rampant, even here in Florida.
Yeah. Well, the illegals are trying to vote, and Mike, hang on, we're on Florida, Mike. Don't go too far. So Teresa, did you like Tom?
Oh yeah, I've listened to him many times. He's really, I love him because he just doesn't hold back. He's very very down to earth and clear.
Yeah, he really is. He's really
As
cool.
the Christian pillar leader, you came up with the idea. Look, we need to put some soft rules in place. No cursing, stuff like this. So we put out these rules, and the first question tonight was, "Hey, Tom, can I get your personal information?" While we were broadcasting,
Well, it was just a little embarrassing because she's like, "I've sent you all these emails and you've never responded." First of all, no one should do that to any of our guest speakers. First of all, that's like I was embarrassed, like crazy. So
we first and foremost, the platform's about what our movement, not our personal agenda, trying to get someone's personal contact information. While we were broadcasting on 4 different platforms. I mean, are you kidding me? That was the first question. And then she's like, "I'm never coming back because you yelled at me." What?
Oh my gosh.
How about you follow the dang rules? I mean, Tom.
Well, the sad part is those are the ones that just keep making it all about, oh, it's all you, instead of taking responsibility for themselves. She's been around long enough to know better. I mean, how many times you going to repeat it until you're blue in the face? I mean, you haven't done it to me personally, but I've seen it happening many times.
Look, we are worried about Alaska. Trust me.
I'm sure.
I
well,
give her
hopefully she'll
kudos
get
for
over
what she
it,
does
and
Don't come on here and ruin our platform. That's rude. Thank you so much, Teresa. Tom, you guys gotta know. Tom left Pennsylvania. Okay, he's now Tom
Florida.
He's now Tom Florida. He's not Tom Pennsylvania anymore. So Tom, you've got 2 days, 3 days on the books of being officially a Floridian.
A week, actually.
Oh, it's a week. Okay. Oh, my bad. All right. So, what updates do you have for Florida other than it's cooling down a little bit?
I don't have any updates for Florida because
he's been unpacking.
Bore you with my personal thing, but look, Tom tonight, who can put his wife behind him, still loving her and still talking on the show was awesome.
Yeah.
Stage 4 cancer.
That was definitely touching.
That is a real man.
Absolutely. And Tom, we're gonna have to work on your Wi-Fi.
You're frozen. You froze for a minute.
You're pulling a McGayso what he did last week. So.
I just got Wi-Fi tonight. It should be all good.
Yeah. Well,
it was freezing a little.
I must have your Wi-Fi.
Should be, and it is. It's different stories, but I'll help you with it. Don't worry, Tom. Hang tight. And I'm so glad that you're a lot closer to freedom than you were in that. Yeah. Those that live in Pennsylvania, please take no offense to this, but you live in a very tyrannic state, and Tom's like, I had enough, and he moved to Florida. So anyway, thanks for the update, Tom, and we'll help you with the Wi-Fi. Mike, any other updates in Florida? I mean, we're seeing the illegals trying really hard to make a difference in different states. We see them leaving the boats and coming right into Florida. So what do you think's going on?
Well, they're here, as I told you, right across the street. With Care rented out 50 houses for them. So they got Muslim prayers going on over there. I don't go to watch it, but they're building like crazy.
Well, that's like around here too. There's all these apartment complexes empty because they're waiting.
And they've been done for like 13 months. And I'm like, Val, what's going on? And they're like, they're probably going to do the same thing they did near Mike's house.
Yeah.
Exactly what's going to happen. What they do, and Obama was the first one that did this, and you can see what he flooded Minnesota with illegal Muslims. And that's how you have some of these radical left-wing nut jobs in office. And they're doing it to Florida because Florida's a Republican state. So what they do is they try to offset the Republican bias by flooding it with left-wing liberals, illegal Muslims, and they create their own societies like they did in Michigan. You can't go into a Muslim neighborhood in Michigan.
Right, because of the Sharia
Okay.
law. Is
Sharia law, that's
Yeah.
exactly right.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. In New York City, they have Sharia law police officers and their own police.
It's
I
really
mean, the
scary
stuff,
that they can do that.
the fact that we allow it is absolutely criminal.
Yeah.
And this is what happens when you allow your elections to be hijacked.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what do we do? I mean, we try. I mean,
We gotta unhijack them. That's what we gotta do.
I know, but
we
it's
gotta
just
take
they keep
control of this
stealing
shiza.
them. Well, you know, I guess we're just gonna all have to seat the seats in the republic and kick the corporation out.
We're gonna have to really revamp the FBI because all they've done is hire left-wing liberals. They're not what they used to be.
Yeah.
Even the Secret Service has gone down terribly. You don't go into the Secret Service. Cheadle, who was the head of the Secret Service, but you know what her agenda is? I want a third of the Secret Service to be women. Did you see those women that were trying to protect Donald Trump?
DEI doesn't work. DEI doesn't work.
She couldn't find her holster.
Couldn't find her holster? I mean, you gotta be kidding me.
It's really sad.
It is.
We have to take back the government. We have to reverse all those policies. I mean, we're in the end times, and I think everybody knows that. And this is the last hurrah. We need a revival. I do believe, like Daniel 4 says, God is the one who puts people in place, like he humbled Nebuchadnezzar. I would bet my pension that Donald Trump will be our president one way, one how.
Yeah.
Okay, Kamala's going to blow up because she's a nothing burger. She's never done anything. She's a nasty person.
Yeah.
She had the highest staff turnover in the Senate. There's 100 senators.
Well, she's the number one liar in D.C. That's pretty bad. That's in the swamp, you know.
Let's not remind everybody the San Francisco mayor. You know, she hooked up with him. She hooked up with Montel. I mean, come on, come on, guys, wake up!
Right.
You're being lied to every single day. Everyone that's watching live, you're being lied to every single day, and I'm fed up with it. Rosemarie, you got your hand up. You figured it out, doll. Last reaction for Florida. Go ahead.
Well, the one thing I wanted to ask is, we have all of these wonderful speakers. Are they getting the newsletter, and have they been asked to also send it out? Because the more that newsletter goes out, the more people that will come on our program.
Yes.
Because on that page,
we're going to display it on our website too.
So Rosemarie, full transparency, Valerie and I emailed it to over 1,000 people this month.
Wow.
So now I'm telling you the truth. Those thousands of people, they have to go into their spam, or on Gmail they have to go to their it's called, hang on, I'll just go to my Gmail and tell you what it's called. Promotions. They got to go to the promotions tab, and Red America First is going into promotions on Gmail, and we're all over the place. And you're right, but to Valerie's point, our Red America First website 3.0 is coming out, and it'll have the monthly newsletter, and we're gonna display it.
Yeah, it's gonna be.
It's gonna be displayed, and they can also download it to share it. But we are getting very tired of the unfairness and the discrimination that we get everywhere.
Censored. Everything we get to do, it's like we just.
We're gonna get it out. We're gonna get it out.
And what we want to do, because I also have these lists, and I can send them out for private email, but the problem is that I can only send so many at a time, and it might take all day, to get them out, or 2 days.
Well, here's what we could do is, if it's on the website and people can download it, like all of everybody here, everyone can download it and then just send it to your personal. Everybody sends it to their personal email.
That's what I'm
That's what she
referring to, the
Oh, okay. Oh,
network.
yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
and in order to be able to send it to our speakers and so forth,
Yeah,
and
definitely.
Hercules wanted it, and he liked it, so, people will send it out. And some of these people that are running for office, we could probably put a little blurb about them as well in the newsletter if they want it, and we'll send it out.
Yeah, that's great.
perfect. Thank you so much for that, Rosemarie. Mike, don't leave because we're going to go to open mic here in a minute. You and Rob will run it. I need Rob back. He needs to tell me what's going on in Ohio. But Stephanie in California, oh my God, we've missed this woman for several months because she's been busy and doing other things. And we are very hopeful and blessed that she's going to be coming on and helping us out more. And next week hopefully we can make that announcement. But Stephanie, what's going on in your crazy state other than the very surprising thing that Gavin Newsom did is he vetoed a bill that's going to help the illegals get 150,000. I was completely shocked. I'm like, wait a minute.
That's awesome.
He's not running for president in 24. So why did he do that?
I think he got humiliated at the DNC when they wouldn't let him on stage. They made him speak from the floor with all of the plebes, and I'm sure that just smacked the crap out of him. And I just think his narcissistic little personality got his feelings hurt. So he's trying to do something. Something else that happened that I just found was the House Education Committee, this is for California, obviously, just passed legislation to counteract Newsom's vile new law that forces schools to keep secrets from parents. The Protect Kids Act restores parental consent for changing a child's gender markers or sex-based accommodations. That's pretty big because Newsom's been pushing that big time. You took one of my thunders. Okay, now I'm going to talk about 2 natural disasters and then an update on what's going on in Ventura County election-wise. So we got awoken quite early this morning with a 4.7 earthquake in Malibu.
Oh,
Yay.
Foxtrot.
Okay.
See, we didn't even know.
Go ahead, Ashley.
We didn't even know about this earthquake, but keep going.
Yeah, and that's exactly across the hill from me. I didn't feel it. My dog did, and everybody else called me. So I don't know. So then also, thank you, honey. Also, Orange County is on fire. I don't know if you guys are aware of that. I'm like in the middle of the state.
We are.
It is completely on fire. Newsom's in New York City. Yeah, Newsom's in New York. And now the folks that evacuated their homes are having to deal with looters. So you've got people going back to their houses because of frickin' looters.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, one other thing. This is a legal thing. So Elon Musk and X triumphed over California's content moderation law. So there was an Assembly Bill 587, which required social media companies to disclose their content moderation policies, and it was deemed unconstitutional. There's another big win for the people of California.
Good.
Okay, so quick local update real quick. So Ventura County, California Republican Assembly, which I'm a member of, we are now putting together all of our precinct walkers, and I'll be running all the walk sheets for people. So we're starting to hit the streets for all of our politicians locally. And then you guys were talking about getting Senate contenders or Senate people running that you might want to have on your show. And I might have 2. One I'm more interested in than the other, but I'll talk with you guys about that offline.
Okay, perfect. Well, thank you for the updates, Stephanie, always, and be safe out there. I'm gonna repeat this like a broken record. We don't live in 1980s anymore. Rob.
Unfortunately.
So let's call on Magaso and Rob Ohios on deck. Magaso's been really pushing me to let him chat tonight. So what's going on, Magaso? If you can unmute, your bandwidth looks a little choppy as you're kind of like doing you're like here and then like you're here. Well, while he's working on his system, Rob, give me some updates in Ohio. Go ahead.
Well, of course, the big update is Springfield, Ohio. I think it's pretty much a nothing burger for the pet situation there. I know everybody's pushing it, but the real story is what they're not telling you. Last year, the first day of school, a child was killed when an illegal hit the school bus and turned it over on its top.
Oh my God! No one's heard this, Rob. I haven't.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, that's a big one. They were talking to different parents, and quite a few of them, their children saw it when it happened. That's one big story, and I guess the insurance rates for driving is going astronomical because the Haitians,
uninsured motorists.
Has to cover all these costs.
They don't have their license, but yet they're driving.
Yeah, they're uninsured motorists.
And of course, they're getting special treatment from the police. The city is turning its back, turning its blind eye to it. The other big thing going on there, they are putting four families to a house made for one family, which would violate fire codes.
Yep.
But yet, if you were to do that, you would be in jail.
Right.
Or so heavily fined. That's another big story from there. And the last one that really has kind of got me ticked off, out of the 20,000, I think they've placed like 80% of them to work. Well, I can guarantee you they're not hiring the citizens, but they've had special accommodations made with the one group that's it's a temporary hiring agency, where even if they're placed temporary, a lot of times, if you ever went through a temp agency, you can work there for a while and you can be hired full, as an employee for the company that you're placed in. But they have, especially in their contracts, they are not allowed to be hired as full-time employees, which turns out that's almost an enslavement. Because if they're just working for temporary, and what really got me was the temporary agency, I forget the entire name, I think it was Diversity Times or something to that, but it had diversity in it. That isn't a name that you would normally find in a temp help agency. That sounds like an NGO that just popped up to say, hey, you pay us and we can get them placed. And that there's a whole list of corruption that would go along with that. But the real story is this is happening all across the United States. And if remember, the city council or the city manager says, oh, they've had no problems here. Well, when they say they've had no problems, that's BS. Talk to the people. But that's the big thing going on in Ohio right now. And I know how much they made fun of President Trump during the debate in saying it was non-factual. Well, they're the ones that are wrong because it's been being proved factual.
And here's the thing about the ABC scenario where, Burr's like, Trump, we talked to the city manager. Okay, maybe that city manager is playing politics and lied to ABC. And ABC did not do their due diligence to verify what's going on. And they called out Trump, but they didn't call out Kamala on every single thing that she said that was a lie. They didn't say, hey, we're going to fact check you. They didn't do that.
It's because it was all set up that her husband or son, something knows the people people over there or something.
Yeah, they were getting help.
Yeah, they were getting help.
And you know it's really bad when Snoops, they even disproved some of this, but ABC won't call them out on it. Snoops of all things. I mean, that's as far left of a fact checker as you can possibly get.
That's a fake fact checker, and they actually said that Kamala was wrong.
Yeah.
Right, that's what he said.
And CNN even said it.
Yeah.
Come on. You know.
Yeah.
But
Well, we're gonna do open mic with you soon, Rob and Mike. Jimmy in North Carolina is gonna join you guys in open mic to moderate. Those that are watching the live feed, we transitioned from state to state to open mic intel were things that we missed from last week. And I'm trying really hard to call on Magaso, but I think he's having data problems. If you hear me, Magaso, go ahead and unmute, and we'll attempt to get an update from you. Otherwise, go ahead.
Well, we're preparing for future mandates that'll probably be coming to Hawaii because of what's going on in California and other places. We're also working diligently to set up our studio here for our corruption pillar, if you would, so we can get that moving forward and start. I was going to comment on Oklahoma with the flag thing. Any time there's an argument or a dispute, you do not accept their final word. You have to keep changing custody, if you would. So you keep putting it out there. The administrators can't necessarily be sued in their official capacity, but they can be in their individual capacity. That's where the power lies when you start going after them individually. Even though they might be your neighbor or your friend, they're not your neighbor and your friend when it's coming to these issues. And maybe that will help wake them up.
Okay, good advice. Thank you.
But as far as Hawaii goes, same old in Hawaii. Smart cities continue to move forward. Even the governor looks like, I know the lease in Oahu's up in 2029 for the military. I understand that he's even signing the petition going around. So you know why he doesn't want the military here. He wants to dictate UN here. So we have a lot on our plate, a lot to do, and we're ready. We're geared up. And once we get this internet situation squared away, as you know, that we're under attack all the time, just like you are. It'll be fun.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Magaso, and we will definitely be looking forward to getting that corruption pillar stood up, and because there's a lot of corruption all over the country, and we need to start holding people accountable for these things. So that's the whole intent. Thank you so much for that, and we're gonna ask for Carrie, since we're on Hawaii. We're gonna ask Carrie to chime in from see if there's any updates from her side and Oahu. Go ahead, Carrie. Thank you, and you could stay on, Magaso.
I mean, obviously the cost of living is still insane. Everything keeps going up. The homelessness is just horrible here. I mean, everywhere, every part of the island is terrible. People are still asleep, that's for sure. Seen on social media, it just blows our mind that people are in support of Kamala Harris. I could barely watch the debate. I mean, I was like yelling at the TV. I had to like step away every so often, just spewing lies. And then you have people on social media saying, oh yeah, she stood up to him and all that. I'm like, oh, so you don't have to have actual facts. You just have to say something is a fact, and it's a fact to these leftists. You know what I mean? And it's like so frustrating. My son was in Virginia, just flew in yesterday. His fiance's family's in Virginia. And I mean, the whole day I was like, I can't believe my son is flying on 9/11, but I didn't say anything because I wanted his butt on the ground before I said, why did you fly on 9/11? He brought me back a bunch of Trump shirts, but they went to the White House and they said that they had like little pockets of Kamala Harris supporters, and he was just like shaking his head at them, like, I can't believe that people are still I mean, he is my son. He gets it from me. So, but yeah. So I'm just looking forward to November, see what happens. I know it's just going to get worse and worse and worse until then and through then. And I just pray to God that, you know, God comes through and does what we need to be done, you know?
Yeah. Well, we need to have prayer for sure.
Yeah.
It feels
Amen.
scary.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, Hawaiians, for the update. Let me quickly look at what states we haven't touched yet. Oh, James from Texas came back. I see you're getting your Santa beard ready for December. You're looking good there, buddy. Any updates from Texas side and how you been? We haven't seen you in a while. Oh, you got to fix your mic. Your microphone is your lips are moving, but we can't hear you. I always tell people to jump out and come back in, but let me see if anything's changed. Try to talk. No.
Jimmy.
Go click on the little arrow bar audio and change your microphone. There's a little arrow if you're on the computer by the audio microphone there. Just tap that little arrow and the microphone. There might be multiple microphones there.
Testing 1, 2, 3, 4.
There you go. All right. What's going on?
I closed on a house June 14th, a Lennar home. Moved into a house, used my zero down, BA, all that good stuff.
Nice.
Congratulations. You didn't move to Florida with Tom.
I'm in Texas. I'm still in San Antonio.
Yeah.
I sold my mobile home to my daughter, and I'm in her home right now. In my man cave room. I used to be my man cave room.
That's cool.
And I don't have anything to report. I haven't had a chance to keep up with you guys or anything that much. I will say that if you read news on, your easy to read news, Microsoft network news, all that kind of stuff, it's was a bad person. It sounds like he's losing. The polls are. That's all I know. I get a bad feeling about everything that they're about to be able to just defeat him again in this election or something. But I don't believe that. I just get a feeling because I'm not watching the right news. You know what I mean? I guess, and I'm not watching this. I'm just reading, and it's just all that. That's not our news. That's not what we would go to look for things, right? That's just what's been convenient for me to kind of keep up with this Kamala Harris bubble or whatever you want to call it that's coming at us.
Look, if you go to Google and you type in Donald Trump, there'll be Kamala Harris articles that will be on top of him.
It's just all over the place. I can give you the intel that if I was, say, a liberal, it's fake news because I don't know any better, then I'm thinking that, Kamala's winning. Yeah, that's what I would be thinking.
Right.
I usually watch X22 report. That's how I keep up with the truth.
Right.
Or a better alternative news. But I haven't even got to do that lately. Because I've been watering grass.
You have to remember, all the polls are going to be oversampled for Democrats. So the polls are going to say Kamala is 3%, 2%. It's close. But reality is we're up 17, 19 points,
Here.
and unless my numbers are wrong, but I go off the best pollster, which is Larry Schweikart, and he comes on our platform. We're going to get him to come back on. But you got to stop going to MSN. You got to stop going to Yahoo. You got to stop going to the places that lie to your faces. All of you. All the people that are watching the live broadcast and everyone that's part of our family, you got to stop going to those places because all they do is lie And then if you are suspect to mind control, then you're going to believe it. You're going to believe Kamala Harris is smart. You're going to believe that she's got all of these great ideas. I mean, hell, did you watch the video last week that even Alexa is lying to the Amazon people? You say, hey, tell me about Donald Trump. I can't talk about political candidates. Tell me about Kamala Harris. She's got great medical policy, health policy, foreign policy. Are you kidding me? All they do is lie, James. That's all they do. Lie, cheat, and steal, and they never will admit it.
When I finally got my computer set up in my man cave, because it's now a garage, I never had one of those, but it wouldn't work and the hard drive was bad. So that's why I got the Xbox out and I got on Microsoft Edge, because I know how to use a Xbox controller to use the internet, and I just kept it's just that stupid Microsoft network. I was tempted to read it. You know, and it's coming from all the probably the liberal news posts, right? Huffington Post is definitely not Republican, right?
Right.
Nope.
Am I right?
You're right. You're right.
Okay.
No. So,
but as far as the church and state separation, I do believe we were a Christian nation when we started this country, and we were not, don't be offended, but we were not Catholic. We were running from the Catholics, or running from the power of, as England. I'm a historical major, so, I'm sorry, I go into historical mode sometimes. Go ahead. What were you?
No.
Oh.
Just
close
out your updates, because we gotta move to another state.
But we are a Christian nation, or we were a Christian nation, and we're still a Christian nation. But we are being overrun with every other religion that's come from the entire rest of the world, and a lot of it's a satanic event that's been going on for multiple decades. As a matter of fact, Madam, whatever her name was, who wrote the Lucas Trust, she was with Lucas Trust or something, which is a Luciferian thing. And she went around the world. She was a Russian, I think, or something in her beginnings. She went around the entire world and studied all the major world religions. I studied world religion, so I know. So she used all of that and put together this new age religion thing, which is a satanic attempt to, of course, separate us from Jesus, or from, the right way of believing. Anyways, go on. You can move on. So we have to just have more faith. And faith cometh from hearing, and hearing the word of God. So we have to take the time out to get the word of God in our lives. And in anybody's lives, we can encourage to do that. Because when we put our faith together, then God moves more prolifically for us.
100%, no doubt.
So one time, I remember I got an email from Dick Cheney once when he was with Bush, and he wanted me to do something. And I said, let's have a prayer candle. Let's hold hands across in the entire United States. We can hold hands all the way from New York or Staten Island all the way to Los Angeles. We got enough people. Do you think we would reach if we tried to hold hands all the way across? Anyways, I said, can we do that, Dick Cheney? Of course, it was a fake email. He didn't send that to me. He was trying to get me to give money or something. But that's what we need. We need to pray, and we need to pray hard. We need to be prayer warriors, and I'm going to let you go with that.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for that, James. In Texas, he's right. We need to pray, and we need to pray often. And this is what's happened to our country, guys. They've pushed God out of our schools. Remember, we used to pray in the 80s every morning. Pledge of allegiance, prayer, all this stuff. Now, slowly, they're trying to push out God. They're trying to take out the Pledge of Allegiance. I mean, look at the NFL. The kickoff of the season, they didn't put the national anthem up first. They put BLM's national anthem. It's like, what in the hell is wrong with our country? Are we completely changing our identity? We know that's what they want to do. That's why they're toppling the statues, defacing everything in D.C. They want to rewrite history. They want to rewrite history. Jimmy, North Carolina, what's going on?
Hey, Ashley, can you hear me?
Oh, yeah, you're testing out
You look
your
like
Zoom
Dr. Spock or
over
something.
your watch. All right.
Looking at my watch because my feedback ain't working on my phone much. So, I was listening to the guest speaker early on Rumble, and I'm glad Leslie asked that question about, about the church and religion and the politics. So, one thing we have to remember that God ordained those seats. He ordained those seats to be righteousness. And there's a scripture, I think it's in the book of Isaiah, where he talks about the government shall be upon my shoulders. And you know what? Let me tell you something. God is government. He owns the whole nation. He's the government. And what's wrong? What's wrong with the pastors today about preaching against it? I'll tell you. Well, they're worried about whose feelings they're going to hurt. That's what's wrong with the nation today. We're worried about whose feelings we're going to hurt. We're worried about who this person's feelings we're going to hurt, and it's not supposed to be about that. It's supposed to be about hearing the word of God. And there's one thing about it that the sinners, you don't see a lot of sinners coming to the Lord today now, and it's because preachers want what's best for them. Even our politicians, they want what's best for them. It's not about what's best for the nation. It's about what's best for them, about their concern, about the pastor's concern, about the deacon's concern, and it's not about the flock no more. And as far as North Carolina, well, I've been doing a lot of door knocking because I'm on the Team Trump here. If you can see my shirt right here.
Awesome. Very good.
Why are you not recruiting for RAF? Come on.
Yeah, I have been recruiting for RAF. I've been trying to get a lot of participants on. They said they've heard about it. They said, well, I'm going to hop on as soon as I can. I said, okay. So, we're trying to get Mark Robertson on as quick as we can. I'm still fighting for him to get on, and I'm pretty sure he'll be back in my town before November 5th. So as soon as he gets back, I'll just get back in touch with you and let you know something.
Perfect. And I want you to stay on to help Rob and Mike and Ron Nevada and Magaso moderate the open mic.
Okay, I got you. Let me charge my phone.
And no, it's good. And what is that watch you're using? Is it an Android Wear?
Yeah, it's a smartwatch.
Yeah, I know, but which one? What brand?
It's Samsung.
Oh, okay, cool. Well, listen, those that are on the live feed, please visit redamericafirst.com, sign up, be a part of this amazing movement. We, just like it says right here, join today. We're a grassroots Christian organization, but we won't, we won't be opposed to Jewish or Catholics that want to save America. Please come on and learn, because if you're watching anything else, you're subject to being brainwashed, and we do not want our patriots to be controlled by the television and being programmed by those that are enemies of ours. So we are ending the live broadcast, but we're going to continue with open mic with the team because Valerie and I have to take some restroom breaks and stuff like this. So thank you so much for the live audience to join us tonight, and everyone else, hang tight. We're going to do open mic. You already have a ability to unmute yourselves, so please do so. And Mike and Rob and Magaso and Jimmy and Ron Nevada will help moderate and keep these things going. Don't hog the mic. Let's share the mic. And I love you guys so much. So let me go ahead and stop the stream. We love you guys. Come back next week. Every Thursday we're here. Those that are watching.